All right. Twitch and YouTube, hello. Happy Saturday. Welcome. My name is Nathan Goheen. This is Anne-Marie.
Hi, everybody.
Joining us today. Hope that you've had a fantastic week and are having a great weekend so far. There were a couple quotes that kind of caught my attention. The first one is by the former Beatle George Harrison. And he said, "I fell in love, not with anything or anybody in particular, but with everything." And I was like, interesting, George. And then that immediately made me think of a quote that I had heard previously, which is, when you touch one thing with deep awareness, you touch everything. And that's by, I'm probably going to butcher this man's name, but the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. So I think that these are both similar messages and are important messages to remind ourselves of. I'm sure we all hear everything is connected. We're all one, to the point of maybe ignoring it. But I think it's very important to kind of keep that idea in our mind when we are working on something or committing to work on something, and to realize that when we work on an idea or a thought or whatever it may be, we have to sacrifice a lot. A lot of things get cut out. A lot of things that we may be interested get cut out. But the flip side of this is that when the greater we develop our thought or our idea or whatever it may be that we're working on, the deeper we can dive into that, the more we can appreciate what we gave up, almost. I really like museums, and I really like looking at art, and I feel like that the more I study with music, the more I can make parallels and connections with art, and I can kind of appreciate it on a different level. And whatever it may be that you're interested. Maybe you're interested in baseball. You're interested in baseball and politics. Doesn't matter what what your interest lies in and what you choose to pursue work-wise, but just the fact that if you really dive into something, it kind of opens up other ideas that are around you. But I've kind of said a lot here, and Anne-Marie hasn't said too much other than her name.
Because I'm listening.
So I ask you, what do you think?
Well, for the first quote, I kind of just thought this is an example of falling in love with life. That's what it summed it up to me. And I think that's a good way to kind of live life. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you just fall in love and appreciate life for what it is. I guess what centers me is I appreciate that I exist. I appreciate that you exist. I appreciate that plants exist. And so by appreciating those things, I'm able to fall in love with life despite the ugly that sometimes occurs.
Nice. So when that ugly occurs, what do you do? Do you just remind yourself that there's good out there, or what do you do? Because we all experience the ugly and the bad.
I remind myself that it's part of life. I mean, if we were the observers of nature, we would observe some ugly things in nature. Mm-hmm. But nature isn't inherently bad. It just exists. Mm. And so, because it exists, and we've talked about this before, I approach it as an opportunity to learn something. And so if I'm in the presence of such an opportunity, then there must be something positive there in regards to my own evolution and growth.
Okay. Wow, that's a really beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah. Thank you. It takes time. It's not something that's easy. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. And some people, I don't necessarily care, but some people might perceive you as like silly for thinking that way, but it works for me, and it makes me the kind of person that I want to be around, and I hope others want to be around, because I see people not for what they can offer me, not for the bad they are or the good they are. I see them as persons having an experience on this planet or at this time, who, no matter what's happening, probably likely deserve a level of compassion from me. Yeah.
Okay. Something else that I had been thinking about, in the fact that, what did you say, falling in love with life?
Yeah.
That all of our life's decisions influence every other decision in our life, for good or for bad. Mm-hmm. So that's something that the sooner we recognize, I think the easier life gets.
Yeah.
Like I've been making a real conscious effort lately to not look at people and say, what can you do for me? I'm just trying to look at them and say, here's a person. Let's find out about them. Is this person interesting to me? And if they are, do what you said and learn. And if they're not interesting to me, it's not personal. It's just like, not everything is interesting to everyone. So
yeah, it's okay.
So just let it be. But getting back to the key is, don't go into, for me, not to go into situations with expectations, maybe. And then in turn, by not looking at people and saying, what can this person do for me? It's kind of also changed how I look at other situations, right? Instead of, maybe this is a funny example, but instead of what can this synthesizer do for me, just be like, what can this synthesizer do? Doesn't need to be for me.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing with regards to music. It's like, not what can this music do for me, but what is this music about? What is it trying to convey? And again, we go back, if I'm interested, I dig deeper. If I'm not, I keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. But the fact that it's all, each choice affects every other choice, it's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely very interesting. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think if I go down that rabbit hole, it'll get really deep. So I'm going to kind of stay back.
Okay.
But with regards to the second quote, when you touch one thing with deep awareness, you touch everything. That one, I'm still attempting to contemplate, because I guess I'm trying to define what awareness means. Is it conscious awareness? unconscious awareness, and does unconscious awareness really exist? Is it a contradictory statement? You know, because I would describe unconscious awareness is being aware that something is going on, but not really knowing anything about it.
Okay.
And I would think that unconscious awareness is being aware that something is going on, but not really knowing deeply about it. And conscious awareness is the opposite of that, being aware and having a deep understanding or a level of understanding.
So if you're talking about deep understanding, but being consciously aware, that to me seems that this quote is talking about consciously aware.
Okay.
Yeah. When you touch one thing with deep conscious awareness.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's what love is. You know? And obviously, like everything, there's a spectrum, right? And there are extremes. But I think the kind of love that's unconditional, and when I say unconditional, I don't mean not having boundaries or letting people walk all over you or disrespect you, but I mean the kind of love that allows you to love something and someone without, I guess, without it having to be bounded by something very specific, like I love you because you do what I say. I love you because you behave in a way that I like. You know,
right.
I would assume that's unconscious if I had to think about it. Or unconditional love, would be the kind of love a parent has for a child,
right,
despite them misbehaving. That parent, you know, like I would say a normal parent. I don't know, because I'm sure there are parents who define things differently. So I would say a parent who defines the fact that their child doesn't necessarily have to behave in a way that they want for them to love their child, but they're also not going to let their child disrespect them.
Right. I think it's just allowing whatever will be to be.
Yeah.
I think that's what unconditional love is just kind of like what you were saying earlier. There's good, there's bad, and there's ugly, and it's just recognizing that even if it's not good, it still has a place.
Yeah. Well said.
You have anything else you want to add?
No, not right now. Not right now.
Okay.
But I do like that first quote. That second quote, it has to be delved into. I don't know why, but
right.
I feel like it would take me down a rabbit hole.
Definitely seems to be more cerebral than the first quote.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first quote made me immediately think of the second one, though. Maybe it's just because I end with the word everything.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, before you go, what is one thing that you've touched with deep awareness that you think you've touched with everything that's made you touch everything? Or
well, I think studying the music, like getting a deeper appreciation for one very specific thing. Or you know what? I'll give you a good example. When was it? Last summer, maybe. There was I was listening to a chess grandmaster speak, and he was talking about his practice regimen and how deeply committed he was to it. Simply made him not have time for other things that he enjoyed. But I feel like when you have that level of commitment, then when you do get that chance to enjoy something else outside of whatever your discipline may be, then you see that other in a completely different light. Hearing this guy talk about chess was really illuminating for me to then take that information back to music, and knowing that he had such a command over what he was doing. It was inspiring, because it was just like, I need to get a better control so that I can match this same level. Does that make sense? Not so much.
Yeah, in some ways it does. In some ways it makes me think of what we discussed last week. I think it was the last quote where you had the two composers having a dialogue with each other. And one talked about being very specific and logical, and the other talked about the music being a whole symphony. And I think maybe the last quote kind of touches on the former idea of the music, focusing on one thing. But then you focus on that one thing, but in that same space, you're affecting everything else, even though you're focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it goes back to the chess player who's really focused on his game and preparation. But it's making him aware of the things that maybe he doesn't have time for because he's so focused on this one thing. But again, I would have to ponder this a little bit more as I'm talking myself into circles.
You're good. You're not talking in circles. You're not doing that. But I think we'll probably wrap it up.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching, for streaming. If anyone's interested, I put my Venmo in the description of the YouTube. There's also some links for Anne-Marie's website, as well as her channel, I think, is in there as well. So check those out. Tune in next Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will try to get to the bottom of everything.
And before Nathan goes, I want to remind you guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because that is the easiest way for you to help us grow the message and to reach more people with these discussions who find them interesting or who would unlikely not find them if you guys didn't tell the algorithm that this is something fun and interesting to discuss. Definitely. And don't forget to comment below. And I briefly looked at the comments last time. Thank you guys for commenting and letting us know that you're enjoying the content. And again, I want to remind you, if you have a quote that you want us to discuss, please leave it in the comment section and we will talk about it and see how applicable it is and do a deep dive. Because as you can see, I enjoy that. You may be asking for something you're not ready for, but for sure I will consider it. yeah, so that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's all very necessary stuff. And I'm always happy when you're here. So thank you for joining in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
See you guys next
See you
Saturday.
guys next Saturday. Have a good week.